Hey everyone, welcome to the live webinar stream. Glad to have you here. Grateful that you're able to take time out of your busy day to spend some time with me. And we're looking forward to going through this. Hope everybody's doing well across the country and down in the US. Hope you guys are healthy and well and everybody's doing okay, even though we've got all this craziness going on. So we've got a jam-packed agenda for us today. We've got quite a few people signed up for this and coming in, so we're grateful to have you here. For those who don't know me, the name is Gary Robillard. I'll be your guide through this webinar, this live stream webinar today. And just some housekeeping rules. We're using, I apologize, there's no chat box in this format that we're using. We're using the Twitch format right now. There's two that we have set up. We've got Twitch and we've got YouTube, and decided to go with Twitch just because it's really quick to go live and start streaming live with it. We will be going YouTube after this. Our new site, our online site, is just about ready. We postponed it. I don't know how many times we had to postpone it because we had other things, a more urgent, come up with us what we were doing, and so we're still using Twitch. So there's no Q&A as far as putting chats in. So any questions that you may have, don't hesitate to email me after the session. This is going to be recorded. You'll get the recording on Monday. But if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. And so just a little bit of, if you look on your bottom left-hand corner, you can actually you mute it or change the volume if I'm not coming across loud enough. And on the right-hand side, you'll see, this full screen where you can, optimize your whole screen with it. All right. So let's get into, and I should mention on Monday when the recording comes out, Monday we'll also have our Gary's Gear. I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what kind of mic do you use? What kind of camera do you use? And all these different questions of different types of software, tech that I use, that sort of stuff. And I will be doing some YouTube webinars or webinar recordings, I guess you'd want to call them that, for some of the gear that I'm using. But I've set up a website on our website, a page that has a bunch of gear and how you can get it. I've done lots of vetting of different technology, and I'm pretty darn fussy when it comes to getting the right thing. If it doesn't work for me, I just get rid of it, and I'll get something that does work for me. So I've got lots of information that might help, and instead of you coming to me and saying, hey Gary, what do you use for this, and I'm repetitiously doing that, you can just go to my Gary's Gear and find out exactly what we've got going on. All right, let's get into the agenda here. So we're going to be talking about what does 64-bit mean to you, and because that's the big thing with this Act version 24. It's the 64-bit component of this, and actually, before I go any further, Jared, do you want to just message me and just let me know if audio and visual are good? I should have asked that before I started here. And just let me know if we're good to go. Audio is good. How about the camera? He's not looking good. Okay, all right. He's not as fast as type as me. I'm just kidding. He's faster than I am. Anyways, back to what we're talking about. So 64-bit, what does that mean to you? Because this is the main feature of version 24. And then we're going to talk about some changes between Microsoft integration, and we're going to talk about some Act marketing automation changes. And there are some features in Act that have been discontinued, and so you need to know what those are. And then we'll dive into our presentation, or kind of a demo here. I want to mention that this, and I'll mention it again as we're going through. So version 24 There's no schema update to that from version 22 or version 23 going into version 24. So what that means is it's not going to change the database. So let's say, for an example, you went into 24 and said, hey, I like 23 better. You can go back to 23. You can just uninstall, reinstall 23, and you're good to go. It doesn't change the database structure where if I move forward, I'm stuck. I can't go back. You can go back. Now, those who are on version 21.1 or later, later, further back, you can, when you do an upgrade to version 22, 23, or 24, it does do a database schema update. So once you move into one of those three categories, you're kind of there. You know, you can't go back to 21 or 20, whatever you're working on. Not that we have a lot of people on those ones, but for those who do, that's where we're at. All right, so let's get into our keynote here. All right. So now I'm going to be looking at you and looking at the PowerPoint here, or actually it's Keynote. I'm using my Mac. So version 24 utilizes 64-bit operating system. And what that means is it's just more power for you. But not everybody's going to notice this. So it's not just that, hey, it's going to launch faster, it's going to be quicker. It is going to be quicker, and it's a better infrastructure. And there's certain areas that this is where you're going to notice it. So put it this way, when you're on 32-bit, you're only accessing 3.75. I know it says on there 4 gigabytes, but to be accurate, it's 3.75 gigabytes of RAM on your hard drive. So if you've got 8, 16, 32 gigabytes of RAM, it's not going to utilize all of that. It's only going to use, for a 32-bit application, it's only going to use 3.75 max. Where you can go into 17 billion plus gigabytes of RAM, not that your computer can do that, but you can go up to that high. Multitasking allows you to multitask a lot better. You'll see not as much lags when you're having a bunch of things going on because it'll utilize your RAM. Now, this is all dependent upon what you've got for RAM, what you've got for CPU, what your system is set up. So if you've got a computer with 4 gigabytes of RAM, it's 5 or 6 years old, don't expect a lot of stuff happening here because it's, you don't have the resources to pull. So if you've got more resources, it will utilize those resources. Speed and performance is going to be a lot better for you. Scalability for third-party add-ons. So just to be clear, when it mentions in this slide deck about speed and performance, it's not talking about loading act. So if you go and think, oh, this is going to be great, I'm going to get 64-bit. When I click on loading act, it's just going to load in milliseconds faster. That's not going to be the case. That's not what it's referring to. In a 64-bit operating system, it utilizes more RAM, which means more workspace. So it's when you're working in ACT and it's under load. So you have a large database, 50, 30, 10,000 people. It's going to really notice a difference, or even a smaller database in 5, 10,000. You're going to notice some speed difference when it's going to go and access data. That's where you're going to see the speed and the performance. Doing searches and queries, that sort of stuff. If you've got an ACT, in ACT you've got one of our third-party add-ons like Advisor, or you've got Table Manager, where it's accessing a table to be able to pull up information and display it. That's where you're going to notice the speed difference. But if you're thinking that, hey, I'm going to click on that ACT button and it's going to launch in 5 seconds, not going to be the case. That's not where you're going to see this performance and speed enhancements. You're going to be able to see that when the system is under load, and then it can utilize that RAM and it can make a difference. So hopefully that makes it clear so you understand where the speed and performance is going to be. All right? To optimize large growing implementations, and security. 64-bit is a lot better for the hardware and operating systems. Now just to make sure you understand, when you go to 64-bit, requires 64-bit hardware and operating system, right? So you can't have a 32-bit operating system and run the 64. It'll work in there, or will it work in there? Jared, make note that got to check on that particular one. I know with the Office, it'll work on 32 or 64, but I don't know if you've got a 32-bit operating system, whether it'll work on that or not. We'll have to ask Matt probably. Anyways, and you need to make sure if you do go to this, if you've got some add-ons, make sure those add-ons are, the third-party add-ons are 64-bit. We upgraded as soon as it came out. We were doing some beta testing, and then when it went with what they call the gold version, we got that set up. And guess what? There was a couple of third-party add-ons that just didn't work. So we have to wait for them. We have to wait for them. All of ours, and just so you're aware, if you have any of our add-ons, any of them, they're all 64, 32-bit compatible. So you don't have to worry if you're running any of our add-ons, they'll work in 64 or 32-bit. No problem. All right, let's go to the next slide. Whoops, not that. There we are. I hit the wrong button. Where are we? There we are. All right, compatibility. So it is going to be compatible, or is compatible, sorry, with Windows 11. Now, Windows 11 launches in October. We don't know exactly what the date is, or at least I don't know what the exact date is, but it will be in October. It will be Windows 11 compatible. Now, that was based on what the version build of the beta that they've got out now. It's totally compatible with it. You never know when you finally get the gold version what little tweaks or adjustments they make. So if there is any tweaks or adjustments, they'll have an update or a hot fix for that right away. But it is Windows 11 compatible. SQL 2019. It's compatible with 2019 SQL. SQL is the engine for those of you who don't know. And what it will do is, now if you've got ACT already installed, that's going to be SQL 2014. When you go to install version 24, it will just keep version 2014 unless you uninstall that. So if you're having our guys doing an install for you and you want it to be SQL 2019, the install will take a little bit longer because all that SQL, the older SQL needs to be removed so that when ACT goes in, if it's a fresh install, ACT will look and say, hey, there's no SQL, and it will automatically install SQL 2019. So just so you're aware, it'll keep what you've got. If you've got an older one. Now, if you've got a really old version of ACT that's still working on SQL 2008, yeah, that'll all have to be blown away to get in. Office 2019, or the latest install or update of Office 365, 64-bit works fantastic with that. If you move to 64-bit, again, I mentioned that, and it says at the bottom here, just to make sure all of your legacy software is, so if you've got an operating system that's 32-bit and you're going to go to 64, so you're going to upgrade your Office, or not your Office, your operating system to 64-bit, make sure any legacy software that you may have also will work on 64-bit, because I've got some clients that are using some really old software that is 32-bit only, won't work in 64-bit environment. Make sure you do a little bit of due diligence before you pull the trigger and say, hey, let's upgrade to 64-bit. All right, feature enhancements, marketing automation. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this. We'll just kind of go through it as we're going along. We're going to capture notes and reminders, hide individual roles and blocks on content. Instead of reading, I'm not all about slides, PowerPoint slides or Keynote slides, but here's some information. You don't have to write all this stuff down. I'm going to when I send out the recording, I'll send the PDF of this little slide deck, and then you can just read this at your leisure, so you don't have to worry about taking notes on that. So usability. So just so you're aware on the usability part of this, they fixed 231 defects, well, plus defects, because I know there was more that they were fixing on the way as they were working on it. User interface enhancements. and update graphics and charts to 64-bit where the components were originally 32. Now, they're decommissioning 3 items. So legacy features removed the ACT dialer that used to use a modem. Nobody's using that now. I mean, anybody that's going to use a dialer, they're probably using voice over IP, VoIP, like we do. So we built our own dialer, works fantastic. So they've removed that dialer, which they should have a long time ago. Nobody's using modems anymore. ACT native email. I don't know if there's anybody of our clients that are using the native ACT email. It's a 32-bit email, so going to 64 just didn't make sense. So they got rid of that. I'm not sad about that. And smart tasks. Now, smart tasks were developed in 2011. They had somebody, they didn't do this internally. They hired somebody to do this externally. They brought it in, and then they didn't fix stuff on an ongoing basis after. I don't know whether whether ACT didn't commission these guys to keep it up or add more features, but it kind of stayed the way it was. And so they're getting rid of it. It's going to be replaced with the ACT marketing automation and a couple of other things. But for those of you who are using smart tasks, it's gone in version 24. So just so you're aware, if this is something that you're relying on, you may want to just stick with the version 23 or lower for now until you can, or we can help you discuss a solution of moving from smart tasks into other things that will do the same thing, because there are other features inside of ACT using AMA that will do all that. So those are the things that have been decommissioned or disavowed, not using anymore. All right, let's go over to our demo. There we are, and we'll go over here, and there we go. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to check to see what version of operating system you have. So under your Windows little button over here on the far left-hand side, right mouse click. There we go. Go up to System. In System, once it loads, it's going to show you here where it says System Type. It's going to tell you whether it's 32 or 64-bit. So just make sure that yours is 64-bit. When I send out the email on Monday with the recording and the link to Gary's gear and the PDF file of the slide deck, I'll also let you know whether you have to have a 64-bit operating system. My guess is, and I didn't ask Matt, so we're kind of running around, quite furiously trying to get all of these bits and pieces in, because we just got the final build, and so there's a few questions that propped up that I was asking myself as I was prepping just before this, and that was 64-bit. I'm pretty 99.9% sure the operating system has to be 64, but just I want to confirm that with Matt, but. Just again, make sure that any of your legacy software that relies on a 32-bit operating system is going to be okay with 64-bit. All right, so that's how you find out what your operating system. Now, you want to find out what version of Office you're on. Launch any of your Office items. I'm going to launch Word here. And we'll just open up a document. And then we're going to go over to File. Then you're going to go down here to Account. And then right in the middle, you're going to go About Word. And right at the top, it's going to tell you whether it's 64-bit or 32-bit. Okay, so that's how you find out if your Office is 32 or 64-bit. And in this in this account information, it gives you other stuff. You can see I'm on Office 365 Enterprise, so you can see exactly what you've got for for Office. For those of you who are running home, it will work in home, but you're not getting the best security. I do recommend, if you're in Office 365, the Pro version, the Business Pro version, which is the entry level, or the standard, I think they call it, Business Standard, is the better one to be on. So, all right. Make sure also you have enough RAM. In our previous requirements document that comes with our proposals and stuff, it says 4 gigs. We just changed that to 8. Really, if you're running 4 gigabytes of RAM, you really need to talk to your IT person and get yourself at least 8 gigs. 12, 16 would be better. More is better. More is better. All right. I mentioned about this no schema update on this, so let's get into our first part, which is Outlook. So the integration with Outlook. So first of all, I had some people ask me in one of my demos, they said, hey, how come yours doesn't look like mine? And let me just show you really quick, because you probably want to see this. If you want to change your color aspect, you can go down here to Options. And it's right here, right under here, background, Office background. I've got you got colors and stripes. That's this little thing right up here, and then gray color. So you've got, I think the default is colorful. I've got mine set at dark gray. You can actually go black, and then if I go black, which is dark mode, and then you can actually switch backgrounds for the actual email that comes in. This is your switch background color, if you want to do that. I like the gray myself personally, so I'm just going to switch mine back. But I had quite a few people ask that, so I thought, hey, while we're in here, let's show you how to change that. There we go. All right. So you're going to see a few different things going from home. When we go over to Act, you're going to see a few little changes over here. Actually, before we go over here, let me show you this. I've shown this before. Let me just grab a drink. I'm a little parched. I've shown this before, but I'm going to show it again because some people forget how to do this. So instead of having to go to Act, I'm always looking for the path of least resistance. So in order to do some stuff in Act and then have to go back to Home, I'm going to just show you how to change your quick access toolbar so you can add some of those things on there. So I'm going to go over here to More Commands, and we're going to change this, scroll down here to Act tab, and then we have all of this different stuff. So it depends on what you want on here. I want Attach Documents to Contact. That's where you can attach multiple contacts to the email, or the email attaches to multiple people. We've got, where's my quick attach? So that's quick attach. Here's my quick attach. And then we want, let's create an activity. There we are, create a new activity. And I could have even create a new contact. Let's put that in there as well. I'll leave the changes and stuff. I'll click on that if I need to make changes or what have you. Press OK. And then you'll see up on the top here, if I need to attach something, I can just click on these buttons as opposed to having to go over to the Act tab. But while we're on the Act tab, you're going to notice a couple of differences. You can now link to multiple databases. Not that our clients have multiple databases. I think we have a few that may have multiple databases. So when you select the database, it selects the structure not only for Act, but if you're not for Outlook, sorry, but also for Microsoft Word. So if you're doing a history thing, it uses this little setting to be able to actually know what database to put that history to, which we'll go into a little bit later. So I've got that set for that database, the version 24 database that I'm on here now. And then we have our other settings, preference settings that you can have here if you want to get to that. But let's get into one of the items that was fixed, and this was a complaint that came back when version 22, I believe, was launched. And all of a sudden, when you went to attach an email to somebody, let's just go back over to Home. When you wanted to attach an email to multiple people, it wouldn't attach. If there were people that didn't have email addresses, it wouldn't attach to them. Well, that was a little bit of a pain. So they got that fixed. So this is the quick attach. They should actually rename that to quick attach. So this one here, the little paper clip, allows you to pull up, and you can see in here now where there are people like Cindy Black that doesn't have an email address, right? And so you can actually attach this email to those who are not in the database, or don't have email addresses, not in the database. All right, so we're going to look at Betty Smith. Let's find Betty. There's Betty. So when you have this, you have to click on it and go add selected. Just double click, and then it puts it down here. So anybody you want in there from that list, you can just double click and they'll be put into this list down, and then you just press OK. And that's how quick it is. Now, if I go over here, Betty Smith, and there's the attached email. Click on the little paper clip. I've got mine attached with attaching everything, and there it is there. So it will attach to, and you'll notice that Betty does not have an email address. So that's one of the things they actually fixed in the system here. Let's see what else we got here. There is one thing I want to mention before I go into this next thing. When we did beta testing, and this beta testing was right up until, I think, Wednesday or Thursday last week, everything, the integration between Act and Outlook, or Act and Office, so Word and Outlook, worked seamlessly. It was great. They fixed everything that we had found that wasn't working super great or wasn't working at all, and it was great. Then the gold came out a few days later, and in between that space of that beta and that gold, they added a few more things, or tweaked a few more, made a few more adjustments. And what they did, just to be totally transparent with you here, they broke when you get an Outlook meeting request and you check it off and it pops up or goes directly into your Act calendar. Well, they broke it. So it's not working yet. So we're all over that. We're after them. We've been getting a hold of the product manager and saying, hey, somebody tweaked the wrong thing, and Matt's checking to see if he can fix it himself, because it may be just a registry setting that needs to be adjusted that didn't get adjusted. Whatever the case may be, that should be fixed soon. But if you rely on that, hold off until we tell you that it's fixed before you go to 24. If that's not a big thing, Outlook meeting requests coming in is not a big thing, or not a big thing for some of the people in your organization. So if it means a lot to you, hold off. But if the rest of your staff, it doesn't mean a lot, they can go to version 24 now, and we can hold off on you until they fix that. So just be aware. That is something that we ran across. Everything else seemed to be great, except for that one thing. So this just in. Matt had a meeting with actually it was a Zoom meeting with 4 of the senior product development team. They wanted to know why he was having this problem, and a few of our clients that have gone on to version 24 with regards to the Outlook meeting request where it's not getting into the Act calendar. And so they spent some time sleuthing this out, found out what the problem was, and now they've taken it back to the development team, the programmers, to get a fix. Now, at this point in time, we don't know when it's going to be fixed, but we know that actually 4, it was 4 of them that sat in on this meeting. Usually you'd get 1, and maybe it wouldn't even be the highest guy in the food chain. But this time, we got the 4 of the senior ones, and they found out what the problem was, and in the process of fixing that. So hopefully soon, we'll get that Outlook meeting request coming into the Act calendar. Looking forward to that. Back to the live webinar. There's one other feature that they've added in here under Preferences and under Admin. And when you're sharing a database, sometimes we've had where people will go into Act Marketing Automation, for an example, and it affects a couple of other API connections. But specifically where I've noticed it personally, because people would get a hold of me directly, is saying, hey, I'm getting this JWT error when I try to go into Act Marketing Automation. And it's because on the local computer, so if your database is sitting on the server, the local computer that you're on, instead of pointing to that server with the location, it's pointing what they call the local host, which is on your computer. So this little checkbox fixes that. You just click off Shared Database Network for API access, and that will solve that problem. I'm just going to leave mine off right now. And that will solve that problem. And it affects other API connections. So that may be something that you just need to be aware of. An administrative person has to adjust that. It can't be just anybody going in. All right, Microsoft Word. First fix that they did. Let's go into Write. We're going to let's create a new template. And I used to tell people to say, hey, don't create a new template. Just copy an old one because there's some bugs, and there was some bugs. They got all that fixed. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go over here to Act, and we're going to grab our Show Fields. I'm going to move that over to the right a little bit. And so in here, you can, let me just layout, no, design, no, where is it at? There it is, no space. All right, so we're going to add in here contact. Oh, where are we here? Contact. Double click. Add. There we are. And then enter. And then you can add all these different fields in here. And I'll get to the point. I'm going to add in contact, and I'm going to add one in here. This is something they've added, which is the picture. Where is it? Picture field. So they've added this picture field now that you can actually, if you've got a picture field in there, you can actually merge that in. So that's a new feature that they've added, and I thought, well, while I'm in here, I'll just show you. But you can add in all your different merge fields like address, alt address, main address, home address. Let's just go in here and put home address in. There we are, home address 1. And you get the idea here that we can, add all this stuff in. That's not what I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you the fix. So you get your template all set up. You've got it all ready to go. You click on the save, and it wants to save it as a doc file. Well, I want you to be aware that it's not going to save it as a doc file. If you click the save, more options, because you're going to want to choose where you're going to put it. We're going to say browse. And this is the first fix. It actually is now pointing to the location where your templates are stored. That was broken before. So now it points to the right location. Thank you, Act, for fixing that. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to save it as an ADT file. That's even better. So now we don't have to worry about location. It's going to the right location, and it's actually going to save it as an ADT. So when you go save and it pops up and it says ADT, just ignore that. When you go browse to go find out where you're going to put it, it's all going to straighten out. Press save, and that's done. Now, while I'm in here, I can go in here and make some more adjustments, test, and then press the save button. And it's going to take it to the same location. And this is something they didn't, in my opinion, fix. They just left it the way it is. So each rendition, as you're going through and doing save points as you're working with yours, you'll have to do this in overwrite, unfortunately. But at least it's got the location and it's saving it as an ADT file. All right, so that's the fix. Let's close that off. Now, if we're going to do a mail merge, so you can do that. There's a history thing now that they've added to the mail merge, which, and this is for documents only, not for emails. So when you go here and go right, let's go to a list view here, and let's view all contacts. And let's grab these ones here, and we'll go and look up selected. All right, so we've got these particular ones here. We're going to go right, and we're going to go mail merge. We're going to go next. We're going to do a document. We're going to go next. We're going to choose a template. It doesn't matter what template we used. Let's just pick keep in touch. And we're going to go next. And we're going to press next. Current lookup, next, finish. And so now it's going to merge the document into these 6 people, for these 6 people. And so while that merges, and then this will be the new feature that they've added to this. Once this document comes up, all right, so now you go over here to the Act tab, and I want to record this to history. Oh, sure, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, no, you got to give it a name. Sorry. I'm still getting used to some of these new features they add in here. We'll just call this test 1, 2, 3. Press OK. And then it should pop up. Yes, it does. Good. It was the second screen. On the second screen, it'll pop up and say it's going to attach to these 6 people. And then you could randomly add other people for the history. So when you're going to create a document, when you create a document, it didn't do a history saying, hey, we created this document for these people, and you'd print it off and go ahead. But now you can record it, and it will attach to these. You just have to put in with the subject line. And so we're going to look at Todd Warren here. So let's just go OK. And then let's go over here to Todd Warren. Did I say Todd? Let's go Todd. W-A-R-N. That's why, not W-O-R. All right, and if we look at history, as soon as it refreshes, there's our test 1, 2, 3. And if we click on this, it'll pull up the document. So that's a new feature they've added to that for mail merge for documents. Okay, and no, we don't want to save that. All right, what else do we have up here? Okay, so the next thing fixes. I'm not going to show you this fix, but I'll discuss it. So when you go in here and you go right, mail merge, you've got your, let's go and pull up those 6 people again. There we are. There's our 6 people. We're going to go right, mail merge, and you choose on this second screen email. And I'm going to send an email blast out. And you choose your template. And you choose the current lookup. And then you put in your subject line. And you want to record a subject only, let's say. And then you press next, finish. And this goes out through Outlook. And then what happens is it gets stuck in the drafts folder. And you have to go one at a time, push them out through the drafts folder. What they found is it was a security thing that Microsoft had set up, and they messed everything up. And so what they did is they fixed all that. So when you do a mail merge now, if you're going to do 2 or 20 or 50, don't recommend going any more than say 80 in a mail merge where you're going out through your Outlook, because you could get blacklisted. And that's for another topic, another time, to talk about why you should be using Act Marketing Automation when you're doing bulk stuff. Having said that, you want to send this mail merge out, it's going to actually send it out. It's not going to get stuck in your drafts folder anymore. So I know there's a few people like Natalie that are going, yay, because that was something that she wanted to do and couldn't do. I think it was Natalie. Anyway, so that works now. That's fixed. Let's just see here. Yeah, that's it for the Word stuff. Act Marketing Automation. Let's see what's our time. Yeah, we're still good. All right, let's go into Act Marketing Automation. So they've changed, they fixed a few, or not fixed, they've added a few features in here which are pretty cool. And I think you're going to like a few of these. I'm going to be doing either some webinars or just some videos on the marketing automation, some of the changes they've made to help out with that. So if I go in here and we're going to edit this campaign, and we're going to go into the edit thing, there's a few things that they've added in here. Now, I don't have a great handle on all of these little new things because they launched the product. The next day, they did a demo of some of it, not all of it. So some of the stuff I've been spending trying to figure out, well, how does this work? So first thing, when you click on a role, not an item, so this would be a content item. This would be a role. When you're on a role, it now has this little comments thing. So I can insert a comment. Is this correct? Question mark. Submit. And apparently this is supposed to go out to the other users to say, you know, have them get some eyeballs on there. But it doesn't have any alarms. It said that it's supposed to have some alarms and stuff in there, but not sure how to configure this. So I'm still learning, but I want you to know they have this little comments thing so you can communicate with the rest of your team, apparently. Not sure. I think that's right. The other thing they've done is they've added another piece in here. Let's just X out of that. And when you scroll down, you'll see hide on. So what this means is when you send this email out, this can be hidden, or this column, not the content, but the column itself, or the role itself. Sorry, not column, role. Click on the role, and you can hide certain ones. So if I didn't want this picture banner at the top there on mobiles, I can click on that, and that'll hide it for the mobile. And then to see what it looks like, you can go over here to Actions and go Preview, and it'll come up with a desktop. So on the desktop, this is what it's going to look like. And on the mobile device, that's what it's going to look like. So it takes that actual picture out. So for some of you that don't want, on mobiles, you want to kind of make it a little more streamlined, you have the ability to do that. And then you can actually just press the X here and turn that piece off. The next thing they've got in here is if you have A/B testing. Now, some of you are using the basic or the lower end versions of Act Marketing Automation. For those who have the higher version of it, it has what they call A/B testing. What A/B testing is, and this has already been there, but they've changed something, and I'll show you. So A/B testing means I'm going to send out an email blast to 2,000 people. And when you send it off, the biggest thing you want to check is, is the subject line clickable? Meaning it's enticing enough that they want to click on that email to open it. And so sometimes with A/B testing, and I'll just use the subject line as an example, sometimes they'll do what they call A/B testing. They'll have one email that will go out with one subject line, one that will go out with a different subject line, and they want to know which is the best subject line, which one gets the most open rates. The way Act had worked how this has worked before. Let's go and switch, turn that on. And so what this would do before with the A/B testing, let me just get this back here. So with the A/B testing, you can have your different versions, edit version A, edit version B. And then what it would do is it would send out 50% to version A, 50% out to version B with the different subject lines. And then what it would do is give you feedback and say, hey, this had a better response rate. Now what they've done now is you can actually go into A/B properties, and you can say, send them all at once, or you can say wait for results and then continue sending. And I only want to send to, let's say, 20% of my list. So if I've got a 2,000 contact list that I'm sending out to, it'll send it to 20%. It will look at which one had the best open rate and then send to the rest, the 80%. It will send that had the higher open rate or the higher click rate. It will actually send to those people. So it's a pretty powerful way of testing your email campaigns to make sure that they're not only just getting out, but people are actually clicking and opening them. So that's a pretty cool feature in my opinion for those who are doing and know about A/B testing. So if this is something you want to do that you're not doing and you're using some of the lower end, give me a call, send me an email. We can book some time and have a quick chat around, is this for you? Where would you use it? That sort of stuff. But for me, yeah, really powerful way of doing things. All right, the next thing, they have one. I'm not even going to show you this one because I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to test it. And that is trigger follow. I'll just read what was in our thing the other day. Trigger following actions such as calls, meetings, or additional emails based on scores derived from email. So based on the score from the email, landing page, and website engagement by each recipient. I haven't tested that yet, so I can't even comment or show you on that one. So we'll circle back around to see if that's actually, once I have had a chance to test things, because remember we were testing everything else that was pertinent to you for your day-to-day stuff. And so this is kind of like, now we're diving in and looking at this other stuff here. Now the last one is the landing page, and I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going to show you what it looks, kind of what the structure is like, or what you can do. I haven't been able to finish it off because I was working on that just prior to this, and I kind of ran out of time. So I'm going to just show you when you go to landing pages, and let's just pick my file manager one here, and let's go into that. And let's just go into, well, we'll just click into here, edit form, and all of your different, fields that you want to capture here. Let's go up page preview. So now in your form that you have, not only can you have, this is what they call a section. So you have one section here. This is one section. And now you can have multiple sections, and you can have 2 columns in each section. So let me just show you what it looks like, because I started messing around with it, but I didn't get it finished. But I want you to see this for those of you who are doing landing pages. And if you're not using landing pages, oh man, you should be using landing pages. You can dress them up. You can make them look like just like your web page if you wanted to. And I've done, well, if you've got the registration form and it had the home stuff, that takes you right to our website. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. But let's do this test one here. Let's go into this really quickly. And let's go into the form and let's edit the form. All right. So as you can see here, this is a section. And normally you wouldn't even see this part laid out like this, but I've added columns in here so it sets it up as a section. And I can add a different additional section. So I can add another section, and let's just call this test. And it's going to be a 2-column one as well. Add to layout. And so I can have different sections on here, and then I can add my column. So each time you go in and you add a control would be like a text box. And so all of these different things, checkbox, comment box, drop down, date time, email hidden, HTML, label, password, there's a whole slew of different things that you can put in here. They will go into the slot, and then you can drag them around. Whoops, wrong one. Drag them around and put them where you want them. Whoops. Swap them around, move them to each column. And so now you can set up 2 columns, and you can set up multiple sections. So each section could be for a specific whatever. All right. So that's what they've done with AMA. So I was just looking at the chat window. Jared just chatted me back here saying, yes, you need to have a 64-bit operating system for version 24. And most people are probably on 64-bit operating systems. Probably not that many on 32-bit. But it doesn't matter whether you're 32-bit or 64-bit Office. You can be either one, it doesn't matter. The integration will still work just fine. If you have 64-bit, you're probably going to notice a little bit difference in running Word and Excel and Outlook. So up to you whether you use 64 or 32. It doesn't really matter for the version of Office you're on. Just make sure you're on Office that's going to be version 16, 19, or Office 365, and you're totally compatible. All right. So check and see if your system is 32-bit. Book your upgrades. If everything other than, and again, remember I mentioned about the Outlook meeting requests. If that's not a big thing for you, we can book you in and get you set up with version 24. Do a little due diligence. Make sure your systems are compatible. Mainly your operating system, not so much Office, but make sure your operating system is 64-bit, not 32-bit. And for those of you who are, do need to have that Outlook meeting request and don't want to wait because we don't know how long it'll take for them to send out a fix for that. You can get the rest of your staff that aren't using that. If they're not using that, they can go to the 64-bit. Again, it's not a schema update, so we can adjust and modify. Last thing, check on Monday. You'll get the recording. You'll get the PDF of the slide deck. You're going to get, what else are you going to get? What am I sending you? Oh yeah, link to check out Gary's gear. So you can see the stuff that I've already tested out, vetted, stuff I'm happy with. I'm putting a wish list on there of things that I do want to get as well. Anyways, sorry we don't have a Q&A in here. But we will next time because our site should be up by then. Fingers crossed. Hopefully there's no more anomalies that'll throw in. I'm grateful that you were able to spend your time with us this afternoon. I hope this has been beneficial and that you are able to glean some goodness out of this. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you on the next webinar. Bye for now, folks.